Good Sunday afternoon, Razorback Nation. We are here Victory Sunday after Arkansas takes care of business down in Little Rock last night. We're going to dive into that, but before we get started, got to thank our lovely sponsors over at Razor Pigs. Looking good, never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand, bringing some serious style to the golf course, tailgate, and everywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Find it right here at home and now run by a Razorback-loving family. Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool, so go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us and our lovely friends over at Scarlet Letter, Arkansas's very own handcrafted spike seltzer. You can check them out today. And if you're in Northwest Arkansas, you can check out the Core Brewery Tap Room where you can get Scarlet Letter's all its various flavors. Now open with their fall hours where you can go and even hang out and watch the game at Core Brewery and Tap Room in Springdale. So go check them out. And Austin, Arkansas goes down and takes care of business like we kind of thought they would. They cover the spread. That was 23.5. We hit the over on points. Initial thoughts on the game from like we were talking about what you got to see due to some broadcasting issues from War Memorial.
So they went down and handled their business. Which is strange coming from, and I don't mean this to sound like a jerk, but it's strange coming from a Sam Pittman team who often does play down to their opponents. They went down there, apart from the second quarter. The second quarter was a little concerning. A couple of those what do you call them? Interceptions weren't great. Here's the thing about those interceptions. Look at all Bobby Petrino's quarterbacks. Most of them have quite a bit of interceptions because I think he has them take chances every once in a while because you aren't gonna, you're not gonna get to that next level down the field. You're not gonna take those shots without taking chances.
Right, that gunslinger mentality.
Right. So I get that at the same time, but the defense did give up a very, very long drive and didn't allow offense on the field really all that much in the second quarter. But apart from that, I mean, they really handled it. I mean, there was no doubt anywhere in that game that Arkansas was, about to lose it. And they don't do that well, especially when they go to Little Rock. So
right.
It's pretty nice to see. I'm hoping they can continue some of that whenever they go to Ole Miss. But we'll have to see on Saturday.
Yeah. Still, it's good, like you said, to see this Arkansas team go down and take care of business. But there's still some things to be desired from this team. We talked about last week. We saw the slow defensive start this week. We saw kind of some special teams breakdown. So, everything's not perfect yet, but we saw some improvement in different areas. Glad to have you in here, Derek. Transplant Texan jumping here and saying, how about the cell service at War Memorial Stadium? The technical difficulties on ESPN would not have been a Hog game without it. I agree. And let me just say, for going down and being at the game, I like all the history from War Memorial and everything. It's cool to play there. But at the end of the day, if they're not going to make effort to avoid issues like this where you don't have very good cell service, you have technical difficulties as you're trying to stream the game. Austin was telling me before we jumped on here, he was watching the stats broadcast of the game, and it was 4 plays ahead of what was the actual broadcast on TV. On top of it's just, even getting to our seats, we showed up, hour and a half before the game to get to our seats, and the tunnels and all the entryways are just kind of crazy packed. It didn't seem like they were once again prepared for the game. They had gates shut and locked that weren't supposed to be shut, so it was clogging up all the tunnels and entryways, and it took us forever to get to our seats. So it's one of those things where, yes, there's good things about playing the War Memorial, but as of late, thinking about the past 2 to 3 years of issues that's gone down there, maybe a few years away from there will be good for maybe the stadium. Maybe it'll help them, open their eyes, make some upgrades. Who knows? But yeah, it was not a fun event to try to get to. Glad to get to go down and watch the game, the first ever matchup between these two teams, potentially the last game. It War Memorial, so some cool things there. So at the end of the day, glad Arkansas went down and got the job done. As we look at it, so Arkansas wins this game, 56-14. Um, Taylon Green, I looked down after the game at the stats and didn't realize how much he put up rushing on the ground. I knew he ran for a lot, but then you go and look at the stats after the game, and you're like, wow, that's a lot of rushing yards. Yet he is still able to spread the ball around to several different receivers like we talked about last week. He kind of continued that this week. And let's just dive into Taylon's game. Game 2 interceptions this week, and 4 touchdowns. So it puts his total to 10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions on the season. He threw for 239 yards last night. Those 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He also added 9 carries on the ground for 151 yards, 1 touchdown, and an insane highlight play of him hurdling a guy.
Yeah. Apart from those 2 interceptions, which were big, right? We're not going to minimize those mistakes. He was insane. Those first 2 plays, I'm looking at them right now. 64 yards and 35 yards. He had 100 yards just like right there, or 99. But we can't minimize what he does with his legs. You can obviously tell that whenever he played Alabama A&M, he stuck inside the pocket despite, pressure and whatever, trying to get that ball out. He was let loose a little bit, and you saw him just tear it up, dude. So that you can't minimize that either. I think that Taylon has grown a lot because he's not favoring one receiver. You look at it again from let me pull up those. I think he had 7 that he threw to last time, and this one.
Yeah, 7 last time and 8 this game.
Yeah, I don't. He didn't throw it to Paskey.
That's right. That was
KJ Jackson.
So 7 and 7.
7. So still, that's still a lot. Plus, you're getting these tight ends in the game, right? I mean, Platt, Paskey, and Jones all got receptions. I mean, Jones, his first touch as a Razorback went to the house.
Right.
The dude is fast too. Holy cow, I didn't think he was going to be that fast. So that's a big plus. But yeah, no, Taylon Green's performance really, really good.
Right, and that's like you said, we're not going to minimize those 2 interceptions he has. Pittman hinted on that in the post-game presser. But, I mean, that's one thing that they said they're working on with him. You can't stare down your receivers. That second one looked like he just maybe didn't put enough air under the ball. You had your guy wide open. He just didn't put it over those 2 linebackers, and it got picked off, unfortunately. But, I still can see where he's grown over the offseason in his passing game. But to your point, Austin, in this game, it looked like they kind of, loosened the leash a little bit, if you will, in terms of, all right, we saw you stay in the pocket last week. Let's now play your game, throw it, run it, have that mix. But, over, nearly 400 yards of offense through the air and on the ground from Taylon Green. Hey, I'll take it. And so, good deal.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's what you want from your quarterback who's a 5th-year senior, 2 years in your program with a skill set like that. And I don't know if you saw it, but Bobby Petrino, who doesn't get on social media a whole lot, went on to X this morning and posted those side-by-side photos of him and Lamar Jackson. And I'm like, don't do this to me, Bobby. Don't do that.
Don't tease me like this.
Don't do that to me. Because to be honest, he was looking kind of like it.
Yeah.
He doesn't. I don't think he has the breakaway, like the explosion speed that Lamar Jackson does, or the arm, really. But I mean, if you're looking like a great value, Lamar Jackson, that's pretty much what Taylon Green is. Or he's really closer like Vince Young.
Yeah, I can see that. And it's like Transplant Texan says here too. It was encouraging to see Taylor Green use his legs to get yardage downfield instead of backwards. But would prefer to see our RB1 more yardage than our quarterback. Understand the offense was vanilla. Yeah, so you're going to have some weeks where that's going to vary. I think Taylor just took what was there. Our offensive line really outsized their D line. So I mean, Taylor had a lot of time. Nobody's open downfield. You've got this whole entire side of the field wide open. Take it and run. Go for it. So, fantastic things there. And hey, even look at KJ Jackson coming in at the end of the game while we're talking quarterbacks. 3 for 3 for 70 yards and leads a 99-yard touchdown drive from the one. I think it's safe to say Arkansas might be in good hands when it comes to quarterbacks for the future.
Yeah, that was really impressive. I know it was
probably against maybe some of their second team. Not 100% sure late in the game, but I mean to come out and execute from the one and go down and score, that still deserves some props right there.
Exactly. That's super impressive, and you kind of feel like you did last year whenever Malachi Singleton was doing stuff. And to be honest with you, he seems a little bit more composed in the pocket than Malachi Singleton does. Because I think Malachi wants to run a lot too. I don't think he necessarily wants to sit in the pocket and pass. KJ Jackson, he looks like a natural pocket passer.
Hey,
he's also got the legs. Darts. And he was like that one to Jones on the away sideline. He was wide freaking open. But at the same time, it was a dime. So you can't get it much better than that.
I was about to say, I think he's underrated in terms of his passing ability. And don't get me wrong, it's still weird getting used to seeing a lefty out there once you're used to seeing Taylor Green. You see KJ Jackson trot out there slinging that thing with the left arm. It's very interesting to see. And like Transplant Texas said, it was nice to see KJ Jackson get a scoring drive with a mixture of pass and run, plays under his belt, looked comfortable out there, 100%. So I know in the preseason, Bobby talked about how, he was very much into the playbook, really critical of his, growth, development, and even plays that he couldn't, maybe he struggled with in practice. He said that's all he wanted to work on the next day when they'd come back and talk about things. So, he's very critical of himself, and I think that can be good things at times, but also at times, guys are going to have to, hey, you throw an interception, all right, time to move on. It happened, okay. So there's pros and cons to that, but yeah, 2 straight weeks of getting to see some KJ Jackson on the field, I think will be good for the future. Knock on wood, if there were ever any issues with Talon later in the season. So,
which Talon is doing a better job of keeping himself clean too. There's a lot of times where he took off down the middle. He may have been able to make a move or take a little contact and keep going, but he instead just slid. That's what you want.
Exactly.
Right.
Couldn't ask for more from that standpoint. Exactly. You jump over to our running backs. We talked about Taylor led all rushers with 151 yards, but Mike Washington, 9 carries, 116 yards, a touchdown, took that opening in that drive. I looked up 39 seconds, and it's Arkansas 7-0, thanks to a big carry from Mike Washington. We saw him almost break some last week. Well, he broke some this week, and I think you're starting to see he's more comfortable. He's getting more run, and hey, even who said Corey Robinson couldn't run block?
Right. Dude, you don't even know how hyped that was when I saw that. Because I like the big guys, and he's out there sprinting, and he sees that. And I know as a former offensive lineman, you see those small guys in front of you, you're like, yes, here comes the big boom. And that's what he did. He just laid that dude, laid him out. And he is a lot longer than I thought he was. He looks like a left tackle, straight up like a left tackle. So great blocking by him, great blocking in space too. That's really hard to do. But then again, Mike Washington really made that happen too. I think he may be special, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how he's not made it to another team before this, but Arkansas, I think, got really, really lucky with Mike Washington. He's got really good eyes. There's a lot of times that you'll see guys, they'll not know exactly where they need to go. He sees it and he goes. He's right there. Even whenever it's like between the tackles, he'll see it and he'll go. He won't dance around. And there's a time to be patient, but there's also a time to go. And he does that. And whenever he does make moves in space, one of the things I hate seeing running backs do is where they chop it up or they try to make lateral movements. He goes north and south and still makes those movements. Like, he doesn't lose speed or lose distance. He just makes a move and it makes those people miss. And that's what you want to see in a really good running back. And dude, we got a really good running back. And then you got Braylon Russell backing him up. Like, yeah, as long as Arkansas can continue to block up front like that, they'll have a good running game.
Yeah, 100%. Braylon Russell adds 5 carries for 25 yards and a touchdown, and just absolutely brings the wood at the goal line on his touchdown drive there, lighting a guy up. And then you saw Rodney Hill late in the game, 4 carries for 25 yards. KJ Jackson added 1 carry for 6 yards. But as Transplant Texans said, Russell clearly backup situation back. Running back one is not given its earn. Washington racking up the yardage to earn it 100%. I mean, you can tell, Russell has the talent, the body, the physique for this, but Washington's just more mature and kind of clearly more ready to take on that running back one role. And so, but to see what these guys are doing and just to know you have Braylon Russell behind him that's just as big and as fast, and then you got Rodney Hill who can change the pace, shifty, catch it out of the backfield type of situation. Even though we hadn't seen him a ton this season in those situations, he's gotten action in both games later in the game. So, what we thought could have been a committee coming into the season seems like it's they're relying on Mike Washington, your RB1, and then Braylon Russell's going to come give him some breathers. But overall, pleased with this running back room to start the season. And, like Austin said, I think there's a good chance Mike Washington is going to be special this season. And, next week's a big time opportunity to show that. So.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, and they're playing 6:00.
Yep.
Night game in Oxford.
Time-ish.
Yeah, and those games get wild. So, just cross your fingers.
So, jumping over the receiving core, second straight week where we talked about Talon spreading the ball around, not kind of leaning on one guy. Rohan Jones, the guy you talked about last week, you're like, I want to see him get it going. It's like the talent's there, the speed's there. Well, finally, we got to see that in action. As Austin said, his first touch of the game, Rohan Jones takes it to the house. He's trucking down the field. Nobody was catching him. Two receptions for the game, 74 yards, 1 touchdown, that big 41-yard touchdown run there. Omega Blake kind of leads the team in receptions again with 5, as we talked about. Kind of, he's going to be you're probably more than likely wide receiver one go-to guy. He has 5 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Raylan Sharp adds 2 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown. C.J. Brown, three receptions for 36 yards. Jaden Platt comes with 2 for 31. Some more highly contested, tough catches that he comes in and gives you. Jalen Brown, 3 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown as well. Braylon Russell catches 2 for 17, and Andreas Puska catches the 1 for 14 from KJ Jackson. So, these mix of receivers getting involved. Pittman hinted at it in his press conference last night. He loves these receivers. This receiving core is, giving Talon guys to throw to. Nothing against, last year's roster or anything, but it seems like these guys and Talon have a lot more continuity and chemistry with each other compared to last year.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the guys who left in the portal too. Like Desmond James doesn't have a catch over at Cal, and likely if he would have stayed, you may not have gotten Omega Blake,
Right.
right? He would have been your number one guy. Um, and then you look at Isaiah Satania. He's over. I mean, he caught a really nice ball right there towards the end. That got him within scoring distance. But I think he muffed the punt either yesterday or the game before. I don't remember where I saw that, but yeah, like we're having a lot better luck with these receivers, and they were probably the most criticized group entire summer. So
Right.
yeah, it's incredible. And to see, like, I'm a Yak guy. 41 yards after the catch for Blake, 52 for Jones. Like, that's, you want to see that every single time. And then you got all these guys. You have like Raylan Sharp, who had a good touchdown pass. He reached out. He's not a long dude, right? He still got that ball over the goal line and tried to get those yards after catch. But you've got guys like him who were more or less, those possession type guys, and like Blake, and then obviously Jones is one of those big play guys. That shallow cross that they run, wow, like that. I feel like if that's not open, something else is going to be open, and if it is open, they're going to throw it there because they've got
Right.
guys who can do that running after catch. So
And that's one thing I've noticed about this offense this season. You haven't just necessarily seen a ton of deep balls from Taylor this season so far. You've seen a lot of short intermediate passes that, to your point, they're letting the wide receivers get that yak, and letting them go to work instead of kind of just letting it loose. And that's
mhm.
interesting. And I think, as we talked about it before, as we start opening up the playbook a little bit more, you'll probably see some deeper throws from Talon. But, right now, that shallow cross, those type of crossing routes with these kind of smaller, speedier receivers, hey, if it's working, keep doing it type of situation.
Yeah.
So, uh,
And the
you
thing
know,
is, like last year, they were doing a lot of stuff to beat zone coverage, right?
mhm,
Well, that cross is there to beat man. And you have a lot of those double crosses. That's there to beat man. And you had a lot of those pickoffs from what do you call it? A State last on Saturday, and they got penalized like twice for it. That's a legal play if you run a route and you don't just go and block somebody. Um, but I imagine like once they get playing like a team that can run man against Arkansas, they'll have those stuff, that kind of concept too, because I mean it's working right now. But yeah, I think they opened up the playbook this year
yeah,
for
I
sure.
agree 100%. And it's like transplant text, and you're saying Taylor Green spreading the ball around by Bobby's design or Bretter progressions will prove helpful not to be focused solely on a guy like Omega Blake in order to keep the SEC defenses honest. Exactly. It's probably some scheming between Taylor and spreading the ball around and going through his progressions better. But also, it's like we said, I think he has a lot better chemistry with, these guys compared to his receivers last year, other than, Andrew Armstrong. And so, to see these guys, it's encouraging. They're not fully where we want them to be at. We talked about that. That's, as we progress, they're going to continue to get better. Transplant Texan asked any injury update on their freshman receiver, Antonio Jordan. So after last week, Pittman said that he's dealing with a high ankle sprain, that he's going to probably be out 3 to 4 weeks, give or take. So, probably won't see him until maybe Notre Dame. Maybe it just depends, especially with wide receivers or with that ankle sprain. You're cutting and making a lot of moves and things like that. It could be a little bit longer. Hate to see that his season to start was kind of not derailed, but his debut was put on pause while he gets this injury issue out of the way. Um, and so, still can't wait to see him. I know Transplant Texan mentioned earlier too. He said who did not get a reception again this week, but nearly everyone but Courtney Goose Eggs on the stat chart. Crutchfield pocket watching continues. I agree. I mean, not sure why he's not getting any playing time. We even saw freshman Jacaden Ferguson out there getting playing time. Um, even late in the game. Not sure why Crutchfield's not out there running with KJ Jackson in the twos at least. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't see. I don't know if I saw him at all, like on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, also, what's his name? Monte Harrison hasn't got didn't get a reception this last game. He had one the game before, so I wouldn't put too much stock on it. I think they've got their core receivers that they're using whenever they have their first team out there, and they may not be a part of it, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, and he could be one of those guys too that it's a thing that maybe Crutchfield's a developmental guy, may not see him a ton this year, and then he comes out ready next year. I mean, this point too, in fall camp, Bobby mentioned Crutchfield putting time at the gym, not the playbook. He mentioned that he did come in a little out of shape this season, and so that could be affecting it too, as he's trying to get, all right, he got back in shape. Now he's trying to get through the playbook a little bit and kind of get caught up on that. So maybe that's something to keep an eye out for. And as far as Monte Harrison, like Austin said, we kind of see that core group of Omega Blake, Raylan Sharp, CJ Brown. We saw Cam Shanks come out there for a couple routes, and even Jacaden Ferguson. So that's probably going to be your main guys for the time being. But who knows, as the season goes on, guys make plays in practice, get opportunities in game time situations and make plays. That's the best way to kind of inch up that chart and try to get some playing time.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you got to think about injuries too. You don't want to think about it,
but they do happen.
They do happen. I mean, he's two injuries away from playing, basically. So let's. I think he's just got to put in the work. Put in the work. This is basically like reliving his freshman year, because he's going to a new system, a new school, all that junk.
Right.
Just put in the work and see what you can do next year, basically.
Yeah. Transplant Texan said every 30-plus-year-old fan is wanting to see Monte Harrison get some more numbers on that stat line. I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
Want to see that as much as possible. But offensively, so Arkansas comes out and takes care of business. Let's jump to the defensive side of the ball. So we talked last week. All right, I want to see more from the defensive line. Well, you saw a little bit more from the defensive line last night. Kind of the part of the team, if you want to say, that kind of had, quote unquote, a bad game was special teams. So we'll get to that in a minute. Defensively, though, this is what we want to see. Xavier Story, 15 total tackles, leading this defense. Julian Neal, we talked about it. He's a really talented guy that just needed to get up to speed, came into the program later than a lot of these other transfers. You see him jump out here. And then Steven Dix Jr. Sorey and Dix at the linebacker position combining for 25 total tackles on the night. Talk about experienced linebacker room. We left last week saying, all right, where was Sorey? Not that many tackles, whatever it may be. He showed up last night, 6 solo tackles, 15 total. He also had a forced fumble and an interception. So he came to play last night. I will say an update on him. He is dealing with a bruised quad, but Pittman says he'll be fine. Should be ready to go for next week. And then Quincy Rhodes, we talked about it. Third play of the game of the defensive possession, and he gets out there and gets a sack for Arkansas. He finishes the night with 6 total tackles, had one quarterback hurry, but finished the night with 2 sacks for 11 yards lost. Kenai Walker looked good last night. in the secondary. He had 5 total tackles. Philip Lee on the defensive line, 5 total tackles as well. So I think we saw some improvement from this defensive line, but I still want to see a little bit more. Like Transplant Texan said, defensive line improvement, but there's still work to be done. Is Oki still being out a factor? Maybe. It's hard to say that him being out as a factor when we haven't really got to see him play yet. Hopefully, maybe he'll be back next week. Next week will be the week to have everybody back and healthy. The one thing I did notice that I don't know if you noticed it watching the game, Austin, but to me, it looked like Cam Ball didn't seem 100% last night. From watching the game and a few of the defensive possessions, unless maybe he just wasn't feeling great that day or feeling, maybe sick, illness, some of this stuff going around. But he was been over quite a bit. Seemed like he wasn't feeling the best. But it was not a great day for Cam Ball.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Because you look at, like what I'm just saying says, you saw him get pancaked and blown off the ball quite a few times. It looked like he may be dealing with what we're dealing with, to be honest with you. He may just be a little bit sick and a little bit winded. Because he came off the field at one bent over and he wasn't like that. I think he may be sick. I don't know for sure. Obviously, that probably would have been a good question to ask post game. I don't remember them asking about Cam Ball, but
I don't either.
He may just been sick. And the thing is, whenever you look at the stat line, right? You like defensive tackles getting 1 tackle in a game isn't necessarily bad, especially when you see Sorey and Steven Dix getting 24 together. That's what their job is. And there was a few times where I saw them, they were doing their job, taking up space, taking up blocks, making them go into the certain place they want them to go. And they did excellent in that regard. But yeah, there was some times that I was getting worried about Cam, that he was probably a little winded, and I think it's most likely that he was sick, because everybody in Northwest Arkansas is getting this right now. I got it last week. You said you're feeling it right now. My wife's got it. Everyone at the schools have it. So it's just something that's going around, and that may have been it. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, maybe quote unquote cold and flu season starting to hit a little bit early. Who knows? But
well, yeah, the temperature dropped or that cold front came through, and it feels like fall when you go outside, like a little bit warm, but not.
I was about to say, when we left yesterday morning to drive down to Little Rock, I walked outside and I was like, man, there's a little chill, kind of nip in the air when you left, and then yesterday afternoon at the game when the sun started going down a little bit, you could feel that temperature shift. So that could have a lot to do with it. But Rusty jumps in here and says Kanai Walker was locked down. I agree. He looked great yesterday. His final stat line, he had 1 solo tackle, 4 assisted, 5 total, 1 tackle for loss, but also the big one, 3 pass breakups. It seemed like they're trying to go at him, and he said, no, sir. So the transfer that came over from Oklahoma, and to note, put a star here, this is just 1 game, but it could be a case of, like we've talked about before, guys come from different situations, need a fresh start. They come into somewhere else and, find the success. And, that would be fantastic for him to be that guy to come in from Oklahoma. All right, fresh start here at Arkansas, and be one of the key factors in this secondary.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see from a cornerback. You don't want to see a whole lot of targets. Like 5, that means most likely, unless he gave up a couple passes, he was targeted 8 times in the entire game. He got 5 tackles and 3 breakups, right? Or somewhere around that, 8 to 10. And once he started breaking those up and getting tackles like right off the bat, they're like, hey, let's not go towards that guy. Which kind of like whenever you see Neal have 11 tackles, you don't want to see that, right? He also had 2 breakups. I think they just had to pick their poison basically, and they went towards Neal instead, and it still didn't work.
Yeah, it's like I'm just saying said, both Kanai and Julian Neal looked solid yesterday, and that is true. Rusty jumps in there, says Cam played 55 snaps, by far the most. That is true.
Yeah.
Maybe part of it is he was winded, maybe not feeling the best combination too. Who knows? But definitely, not the normal Cam ball you see. But yeah, the secondary is looking better. I mean, you even see guys like Caleb Wooden and Miguel Mitchell up there, both 8 total tackles between the two of those guys. And then, still a lot to be desired from, we talked about it. This could be a make or break year for him, and it hasn't started out great this year thus far, is Jaheim Singletary. Guy that seems to maybe dropping down the pecking order of guys that, I don't want to call him a bust, but that's what it seems like it's trending like. Extremely talented kid. Doesn't necessarily get a playing time at Georgia. We know the type of talent they recruit in. They're stacked 5 stars, 3 deep, at least before the whole transfer portal NIL situation. And he comes over to Arkansas, struggles with a playbook and some playing time year 1, year 2 last year, struggles a little bit with some injury issues and stuff. Comes into this year, everybody's like, all right, what's Jaheim Singletary going to do? He's a third-year guy in the system, experienced, been here with this coaching staff, but still hasn't really just broke out yet. And, it may get to the point where he's a rotational role player. Isn't going to be a guy like maybe a Kunai Walker or, Julie Neal, a guy like that. And maybe he just gives guys some breaks, unfortunately.
Yeah, because if you're out there and you're holding back-to-back, well, not back-to-back, but essentially back-to-back plays against Arkansas State, you're not going to be able to hold your own against, Ole Miss this coming week. So that's very disappointing to see. You didn't really see any bad things about Selman Bridges, but it's just like it's the same old from last year, and I don't know what's going on with him because he's obviously talented. There's no reason why he would have 5 stars coming out of high school if he weren't talented. It's got to be some kind of development between then and now. And if Georgia couldn't do it, then are you expecting Arkansas to do it? It's just one of those things. You just don't know why, but it's just not working out. And it sucks because the kid should be really, really good.
Right.
But right now we got 2 guys that are locked down. I don't know if they'll be able to do that against better competition, but they're absolutely destroying who they're playing right now. So that's what you want to see, and that's all you can ask for right now until you see someone better.
Right. And another point here by Transplant Texan mentioned, he said if Cam was under the weather and he had 50, he played 55 snaps. The concern about the depth drop off with his backup, they should have been able to rest Cam. I agree if that was the case, but we talked about it.
Oh yeah, there's obviously a depth concern. Like
right.
They put an offensive lineman over there.
Yeah, I was about to say you move an offensive lineman over. You're down one guy with David Oki, and then you have Danny Solly, who Pittman called out in this press conference last night, had a better game after being down on himself for that game 1. You see Ian Gaffard getting some more run in this game, and I even saw some Charlotte Collins sightings as well, and so hopefully once David Oki comes back, that helps this depth a little bit. But this is going to be put to the test next week. As Ole Miss, we saw them take care of business yesterday, but they like to run the ball a lot, and so these guys are going to have to help fill and plug holes and get those guys outside. Unbiased Brim jumps in here and says no prediction next. It's Al Davis. Just win. I want to drink the Kool-Aid, but I can't until they show and prove it. Salute. So I agree.
Yeah. Here's the thing I want to talk about. Ole Miss did not look super good against Kentucky. Kentucky was really, really, and I guess we'll talk about this
We'll dive more into it, but you can hit on it.
on Thursday. But Kentucky just, I don't know, like especially at the beginning, they were just holding them. And Kentucky's kind of been their kryptonite the last few years. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, Travis Williams needs to go out there and watch that film and see what Kentucky does to stop Lane Kiffin, because they've got the blueprint to it. If they had better people on offense, they would have won that game.
Right.
And they nearly lost to Toledo last week.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Transplant Texan, like he says, measured praise here. The truth will be the pudding of SEC play, and that all gets started next week, like we talked about. You know, hopefully these linebackers and secondary can help out. But so far, you know, through the first 2 games, I mean, I haven't necessarily been impressed from one Austin Simmons. 4 interceptions through the first 2 games. I know it's your first year starting, but you had 2 interceptions against Georgia State. You come into SEC play, you know, you don't throw any touchdown passes. You know, they run the ball a lot with their running back and a lot of RPO option type plays with Austin Simmons. But you know, they're running a lot of short slant routes, you know, short passes. You know, he's not throwing it down the field a lot. And so hopefully, you know, Arkansas, like you said, Travis Williams can kind of come in and watch that tape of the first 2 games this season so far and kind of see, hey, here's what this kid's struggling with, and let's pick on that and play on that with these guys.
Yeah. And I think they can. As long as Arkansas's offense can move the ball, heck, dude. Would it be funny if they had the opposite score from this last year at their home place? Like just put 60 on them. That would be fun. That would be really fun.
Just go in and drop it on their head. But yeah, it's going to be, you know, like we said in the comments, next week it gets real. You're entering conference play. It's early in the season, game 3. Can Arkansas go into Ole Miss down to Oxford and get the job done? I think Arkansas has a fair shot when you look at it. I know Transplant Texan, or, you know, somebody asked earlier about the game, 6:00 on ESPN. So it is going to be on ESPN. I Transplanted Texan said 6 p.m. kickoff. Hawgs get to play under the lights, literally, and versus their first SEC opponent, and not the daylight for a change. Has the network been announced? So yes, ESPN at 6:00. So going to be some, you know, Arkansas's had some fun times at that time. Opening the week today, as we said, this could change throughout the week. Ole Miss opens up as the 9.5-point favorite with over-under of 62.5. So it's going to be fun to see if you know, you have some more weird things going on with this Arkansas Ole Miss. Not I hate to use the word rivalry, but this game, this series,
a peculiar matchup.
Yeah, exactly. Weird things always seem to happen, and it's always seemed in the past few years vice versa. We do something weird and it works in Arkansas's favor on the road, and vice versa. You know, you saw last year Ole Miss comes into Fayetteville when you think home field advantage. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to play. And then we got a comment asking about Jalen Braxton. I don't know if he's playing or not. Have you heard him playing? I haven't looked at any PFF grades or anything like that about him. I know, you know, Haas is out, and then what's his name? Wow, why did I forget his name? What was it? Patrick Kudas. Yeah, Kudas has been playing. I saw him. But yeah, no, like we talked about Isaiah Satania and Dasman James going out there and not doing great. I mean, Isaiah Zatania did pretty good as a receiver. He's just muffing
Yeah.
punts like he was at Arkansas. Um,
Yeah, but that comment you're talking about, so Nisha asked, is he playing? He doesn't have any stats so far through the 2 games. And, just to confirm, like what you said, looking it up, I guess not. I don't know if he maybe is having an injury issue or what, or maybe he's just down the depth chart. Maybe wishing he would have stayed at Arkansas where he would have been a starter. But it is what it is. I mean, no stats so far this season. Maybe he's getting his bag and he's fine sitting on the bench. I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know either. That's really crazy. To have all 3 of those guys go, and then only one's going to be playing against you.
right.
Like, it doesn't take the wins out of your sail a little bit, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, that sucks. You can't even beat them while they're on the field.
Right.
Like if they go in there and they beat your team and you don't even play, that's almost more embarrassing.
Yeah. Angel jumps in there and says, barn burner coming. That there's a good chance that that's what it is. We know this Arkansas offense can put up points. A Lane Kiffin offense can put up points. Which defensive team can probably come in there and get 1 or 2, 3 good defensive stops? I think probably could be the key to this game and who comes out victorious.
So I'm looking it up right now. It looks like Jalen Braxton is injured. I just can't read this. Yeah, they have it behind a paywall.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this game is gonna be electric no matter what, because Arkansas is pissed. Travis Williams, that's probably the worst game of his career. The worst game he's ever called.
He's probably got that one circled like, all right.
Oh, he's been planning it since that loss. I guarantee you. It didn't matter who was coming in. He knows exactly how he's going to play that game. And now he's got a first-year quarterback that he gets to play with. Yeah, he's going to come out and he's got something special drawn up for sure.
Yeah. Transplant Texan said, I agree here. Portal transfers from Arkansas are falling flat. Like Cal said, some of these players are stepping over dollars to chase pennies. Grass is not always greener for some transfer players. Exactly. You have Patrick Kudus that doesn't transfer. He's probably, penciled in there as a starter, and that's one less offensive lineman you have to go out and get in the transfer portal. Or, if Jalen Braxton stays, you're not talking about maybe a Kunai Walker or a Julian Neal. Same thing with Luke Hostage. You're not necessarily maybe talking about a Rohan Jones or something like that. So yeah, these guys are leaving, and so both Angel and Rusty jumping in here saying Walker is way better in terms of the between the 2 DBs, and I agree.
Between Braxton and Kenai Walker? I don't know. It's been a minute since he's played, and whenever he did play, he played as a true freshman, so it's kind of hard to tell that, really. He only played in 2 games last year, and he hasn't played yet this year. And I'm looking, and it's undisclosed. No one knows what he's dealing with, but he was hopefully that he was going to be back against Kentucky. He may be back against Arkansas, so we'll see.
Yeah. As we jump in the last few categories here before we get ready to wrap up here. So in special teams on the Arkansas punting. So Arkansas punted 1 time. Devin Bale, 1 punt, 62 yards. Just absolutely launches his singular punt he got to come out there and do. Devin Bale doing Devin Bale things, and I think even on that punt, he helps make the tackle as well. So coming out there doing fantastic things. You love to see that from that special teams aspect. Kick returns are all returns. So Cam Shanks had 1 return for 5 yards. And then Julian Neal and Xavier Story each had a quote-unquote return due to the terrible punting of Arkansas State. So many shanked punts. It was
Yeah.
I'm sure Cam Shanks was back there like, hey, I just want to get a chance to break one open here, and they can't even get the ball to me,
Yeah.
So, and then kickoffs. This is what I'm circling that, Pittman even hinted into in the press conference. He said between Blake Ford kicked off 7 times, Devin Bale came in and kicked off a couple times. But he said, hey, it is an open competition between these two guys. He said Devin Bale handled kickoff duties last year. They were trying to get Blake Ford to do it this year. He said Blake Ford in practice is consistently kicking it a yard or two, 1 to 2 yards past the goal line. But he said, hey, Blake Ford did his job, kicked it, got it to, the goal line, the one. He said, our guys just got to tackle somebody. He said,
Yeah.
you got to just put them on the ground. To be fair, number 16 for Arkansas State, Chauncey Cobb, he's a small guy, very similar to Cam Shanks, and fast and shifty, kind of almost their version of Cam Shanks. But yes, at the end of the day, like Angel says, just put the ball out the back of the end zone. I agree. Perfect way to not risk anything there. So, that's the area I'm circling right there is special teams. If you can't get it through the back of the end zone, from what I saw yesterday, that's a little concerning.
Yeah. And I don't know who it is. Number 49. I don't know if they put on a different jersey for the kickoff because they'll do that. But that's what whoever 49 is, whoever it was on that kickoff return, he's the reason why it broke out. He didn't stay in his lane. Like if you played football, if you play kickoff or kickoff return, about these lanes. Like you have this lane and you're supposed to stay in it. And whenever he deviated from that, it opened a huge hole, and then Cobb just saw it and took off. And there's like no one there behind. And like they talked about it on the broadcast. Bradley Shaw had a good angle. He just didn't have the speed to get to him because Cobb is really, really fast. At the same time, you're going to have that kind of speed in the SEC, so they need to figure out something. But yeah, they deviate from their lanes way too often, and that has more to do with the players being disciplined than with scheme.
Right.
So they just need to be disciplined and stay in that lane, and do their job, and everything should be fine.
I was about to say, if it truly is number 49, according to the roster, that is Zach Haber, the long snapper, redshirt sophomore. So
I don't think it was because it was what was his name again?
Zach Harbor.
No,
Harbor Haber.
Yeah, no.
But you said, either way, you got to stay in your lane. Angel says it's the way they wedged. It always opens the slant straight to the sideline, and then the straight slant to the sideline to the end zone. So that's what happened. He, that lane wasn't blocked up. He bounced it outside to the sideline and was gone.
Yeah, no, see, it wasn't him. Whoever it was, he was African American. I don't know who it was, but he had to have had a different jersey on, and it might have been like 46 or something because sometimes I get dyslexic and change numbers. It was 40 something, but there was a guy who went in and broke that lane, and exactly like what Angel said.
Yeah, sidestep and gone. Yeah, I'm just saying, says, no, and a good craftsman never blames his tool. It goes back to Fountain.
Yeah, but that's where that's where the problem is. It's discipline. It's not necessarily it's on him to get them to be disciplined, but that's where the problem is. Right. If that makes sense.
And it's like Transplant Texan kind of asked, if not for the kickers, would Scott Fountain still have a job? If I'm being honest, my answer is yes, because him and Sam Pittman seem to be good buddies. Sam Pittman, in one of his press conferences, says, hey, Scott Fountain's been with me here all 6 years. So I don't think he's probably going anywhere. I think it helps that he continues to bring in kickers like Cam Little, Jake Bates, now Scott Starzik. That helps a lot.
Yeah, it does help, but he's also, whenever he does have to do something inventive or, fun, like fakes and whatnot, every single one that he's done since he's been here has worked. So I think that he does offer a little bit of value when it comes to that, and when it comes to recruiting. Like they always say that he's a huge recruiter. If he could just get these guys to play discipline, they would have a great special teams. And that's it. But you can't deny that it's been like this every single year that he's been here. So
Right.
It's kind of like, yeah, he does a lot of things really good, but those certain things that happen every single special teams play, that's where he screws up, and that's a lot of what happens. So that he needs to get it fixed. I don't know what it is, and we're talking about the craftsman not blaming the tools. To be honest, that should go up to Sam Pittman too, because there's also been a discipline problem everywhere else at times, when it comes to scheme and stuff. So that's really, it really goes up to the top. He's got to go out there and he's got to be like, hey, you cannot be doing this, and he's got to tell Scott Fountain, hey, you got to get these guys to play with discipline, or you can't be here any longer.
Yeah. And so, the other aspect, special teams, Scott Starzik 8 for 8 on PATs. No surprise there. So,
during the broadcast, they said something about Arkansas hitting like 180 something straight PATs. Like we have a streak of like 180 something PATs
that would be interesting. Something interesting to look up for sure.
Yeah. I have to go back and see if I can find it in the coverage, but I was like, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Rusty jumps in here and says Fountain is a great recruiter. That's to be shown. He's got some really good kicking talent in here. So, maybe the good in a sense is outweighing some of the things that he lacks. But at the end of the day, like you said, you still got to execute and be disciplined on this. But so Arkansas will be back in action on the road for the first time this season. True road game as they head to Oxford to take on the Ole Miss Rebels at 6:00 on ESPN. So, as Transplant Texan mentioned earlier, it'll actually be under the lights this time. And it's an Ole Miss. This series has been weird, so why not? Let's get weird and have some fun with it, and Arkansas get out of there with a win. So, let's take a look around the league for other SEC teams yesterday. LSU beats Louisiana Tech 23-7. Georgia beats Austin Peay 28-6. Texas beats San Jose State 38-7. Arch Manning throws for 4 touchdowns in this one. But it is San Jose State. We'll see what he does when it comes to SEC competition. South Carolina 38-10 over South Carolina State. Mississippi State pulling the upset over Arizona State 24-20. And a late game heroics by Mississippi State. Just insane. If you watched last week's show, Austin and I were talking about this matchup and said it could have been a close one when we went through and did our pick 'em. And Mississippi State, sure enough, picked them off. And maybe they're trying to prove some people wrong, saying, hey, don't count us out just yet.
I was really close to picking them too. Really, really close to picking them. Makes me mad.
And then the upset of the day, the crazy one, is Florida. Number 13, Florida loses to South Florida 18-16. I was kind of keeping up with this game while we were at the Arkansas game last night. And when South Florida got possession with about 2 minutes to go, they forced a turnover. I was like, Florida just lost this game because surely they can get in field goal range. And, they got really close to actually scoring a touchdown, but ended up only needing a field goal, and that's what they did. And Florida plummets out of the rankings, and South Florida, after 2 back-to-back ranked victories, are up to 18 in the new AP poll. Oklahoma takes care of business against Michigan 24-13 in Norman. Texas A&M beats Utah State 44-22. Ole Miss beats Kentucky 30-23. Alabama drops 73 points on Louisiana Monroe. Hated to be on that other end of Alabama this week after getting flat out embarrassed against Florida State. They come out and drop 73 on Louisiana Monroe. Tennessee beating East Tennessee State 72-17. Unfortunately, Missouri winning 42-31. Kansas was in this game, leading at one point, really hoping they'd pull it off, but the Missouri Tigers find a way to get the win here. Auburn beats Ball State 42-3. And then Vanderbilt, the 2-0 Commodores, 44-20 victory over Virginia Tech.
I'm going to say it again. Vanderbilt's better than South Carolina. I'm just saying. They're better than South Carolina. They have way more of an offense than South Carolina does. They barely beat Virginia Tech last week.
Well, you know what, Austin? We'll put that to the test. They play South Carolina next week.
Who does? Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt
all the way. I'm going for it.
Vandy They're going to be ranked. South Carolina, 6:45 Saturday on the SEC Network.
That's what I'm talking about. Vanderbilt all the way. Are they playing in Vandy or are they playing at South Carolina?
It's at South Carolina.
Oh, that sucks.
Hey, apparently they got a good Diego Pavia. It doesn't matter.
Oh, that's true. That dude he has confidence out the you know what. But yeah.
And then so that wraps up the SEC weekend. We've got to talk about our Pick'em challenge so far. Coming into 2 weeks in, I'm leading the pack 14-6 in my picks. Coming in second, Austin, you're sitting there at 13-7, and then our buddy Hawgs at 11-9, really struggling there in the Pick'ems.
Yeah, and we can't even tell them about it either, which sucks.
Right, can't kind of.
It is what it is.
Rub it in a little bit, but
Hey man, you know what? I was worried about that Syracuse game. I turn on the channel and UConn's beating them like 10-3 or something like that. I was like,
oh yeah, I saw that score and I was getting worried too.
Yeah, and did you see their coach made them run sprints after the game? Oh, that is it. They made them run sprints after the game. That's hilarious. That's like high school in the 90s, running sprints after the game. But and then West Virginia loses too.
Right there.
Right. And then West Virginia loses too. Like, what in the world?
Right, to Ohio.
Yeah, that's that. I was talking about like, oh, that's easy. Virginia. Nope.
Yeah, we both were off on that one.
Yeah.
But
and I heard that, or I saw online, I don't know how much it was true, that if West Virginia won that game, then College Game Day was going to be at the Backyard Brawl. So between them and Pittsburgh. And, well, that ain't going to happen now. I mean,
not at all.
Not good, but interesting stuff, man.
So, yeah, Game Day is actually... They're headed to Tennessee for Tennessee-Georgia. That should be a good matchup next week.
Tennessee-Georgia will be good. Dude, how did Texas get back-to-back ABC games? And then one of them was against San Jose State.
It's Texas.
That's what I want to know. I hate Texas.
Agreed. Quick Pro Hog update. Isaac Tesla gets his first touchdown.
Really? I had it up. I just hadn't been looking at it.
He got the game's over, but he caught the touchdown for the Lions. So he gets his
their only touchdown.
Their only touchdown. He gets their only touchdown of the day. So shout out Isaac Tesla to continue to.
Did you watch it?
I mean, basically Odell.
I don't mean to make that noise
the
again.
Ball.
That's
one-handing it.
That's gonna be and it was a no catch at first.
Hey, he
Hang
got
on.
that foot down. I kind of saw it coming
Oh
across my
my,
screen as we were talking, but he continues
that's
to
gonna be
do what he did in the preseason, now in the regular season, telling Coach Dan Campbell, hey, play me more. This is what I will do.
wow. That's gonna be Sports Center top 10. Oh my gosh, if not number one.
Also, Rocket Sanders scored a touchdown too for the Browns today.
I saw that. And you know who he's not playing for right now? The Chargers. That
Chargers.
makes me mad. Hey, the Chargers look good against Kansas City.
They
though.
did.
They looked really good.
Justin Herbert came out there and balled out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that kind of wraps it up for us this weekend. Great things for Pro Hogs. Arkansas gets the job done, like we said. Just go down and take care of business against Arkansas State. They do that. Time to ramp up the intensity as Arkansas heads to Oxford this weekend for the first SEC game of the season, taking on the Rebels, 6 o'clock, ESPN. So get ready to tune in. We'll be back on Thursday for our preview show where we'll have a guest from an Ole Miss pod to talk all things Ole Miss as we get ready to preview. I'm just going to ignore that comment. I'm just saying because as a Dolphins fan today was not fun, so we're just not going to talk about it.
He's also a Dolphins fan, by the way.
Okay, then we can relate in the pain. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, as we get ready to wrap up, anything you got on this weekend or anything before we get out of here?
Nah, man. It was fun to see Arkansas beat up on Little Brother. That's all I got to say.
Exactly. So that we're going to get ready to wrap up here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Go like in our Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, across all of the social medias. We'll be back Thursday for our game preview for Ole Miss as we get ready to open up conference play. And everybody have a great beginning of your week. For Austin and myself, we're going to get out here. We'll see you guys on Thursday as we get ready to talk Arkansas versus Ole Miss.